NPP came to power, our GDP number had dropped, yes, to about 3 point something. But because of the measures that were put in 2016, in 2017, we recorded GDPs of up to about 8.3%.
Also, these homegrown remedies you talked about,
yes,
that were put in place before.
They were the anchor,
yeah, that's
to economic performance in 2017.
All right.
And I mean, you might want to dispute it, but the truth of the matter is that in usually for a government that comes into office, a lot of the work is based on previous underpinnings that have been done. So a lot of work had really gone on. But again, I want to say that the president has done quite a good job. He promised us 60 ministers. Today, he used only 57 to achieve all these things. Today, you can see how all the various sectors of the economy are doing quite well, from energy, from finance to trade, tourism, agriculture, which is the backbone of the Ghanaian economy. Today, is doing so well, 2.9%. Now we are doing about 6%. They've introduced so many things within the agriculture sector that is going to help us. In the past, we saw issues around even fertilizer. It was a big issue, where there were scandals all over the place, where fertilizer was being, smuggled to other countries and all that. But today, the story has changed. President Mahama came into office with the intention to reset this country. Now, he has been very, very meticulous in everything he's doing. Even in the selection of his ministers, I want to say that he's done so well. The finance ministry has been the anchor for everything we are doing. Today, 2025, our GDP has closed 6.1%. Public debt has dropped from highs of 68%. Today, it's come as low as 45%. Today, interest rates have moved from 28%, has dropped all the way to around 12%. Exchange rate, 16% highs. Today, we are doing 11 cedis to a dollar. All these have repercussions. That's one thing that I want people to really understand.
But based on the historical context you gave, would you also say perhaps what the former government did they lay some foundations that the NDC built on?
You can give me an example if there's any.
No, I'm just asking.
I'm just saying. You can give me an example if there's any. Truth of the matter is that I can give you examples of what was done pre-2017 that really helped us. We realized that our debt was quite growing, and therefore we had to put in especially issues around homegrown revenue mobilization. The ESLA levy, our debt in the energy sector was growing. So Tekwe introduced the ESLA levy, and that helped to reduce the level of debt that was hanging on us. So a lot of things he did that really helped the stability we saw, especially on that side of things. But let me just come back to the conversation that President Mahama, in making those appointments, you could see that he had various targets in mind. Energy was one. The finance ministry, which is the anchor, was one. You want to talk about agricultural sector. These are very important sectors that really anchor how strong any economy would be. So, in putting the finance minister there, we realized that in 2024 there were major slippages in the economy. These slippages resulted in deficit financing from the Bank of Ghana. And also, if you look at the fiscal deficit as close of 2024, was huge. That also was a reflection of how much our GDP numbers were doing at the time. So, putting these men into these situations, they had to make concerted efforts to basically restore discipline, especially the finance ministry. Today, all these things on inflation, interest rates, exchange rate, reserves that I've mentioned were as a result of a deliberate and concerted effort to ensure that the discipline around fiscal balances are restored, issues around government spending is kept, and all these more or less help you to achieve some level of sustenance in terms of your macros and your micros. Now, if I should take you back a bit, because of the mismanagement we saw, we ended up going to the IMF and also had to introduce things like the debt exchange program. I mean, that was the low end of this whole discussion.
So it's not. You won't agree. Maybe it's part of the reason why we are recovering now.
Yes.
The fact that we went.
No, I mean, look, you are looking at the pain it had caused Ghanaians. I mean, we saw how picketing was being done at the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah.
We saw a former Chief Justice being part of it. Look, people had haircuts. Excuse me, even bald-headed men got haircuts. You know, and it was so painful that people even lost hope in the no-risk, even T-bills of government. At some point, even for coupons to be paid, people were even wondering whether to be paid or not. Look, even for salaries, government worker salaries, at a point there wasn't a dispute whether we were even able to pay them. See, that tells you the level we had reached as an economy, how bad things were. Look, we defaulted all our debts, external debts. Look, rating agencies started, showing us the true state of the Ghanaian economy. Fitch, S&P, Moody's,
and all that.
All of them, junk status. We were closed out of the global financial markets.
So this 6.1 economic growth we're talking about, how has it impacted perhaps trade and industry?
You know, the 6.1%, the important part is to look at the non-oil part of the GDP.
Okay.
Which has grown about 7.5% from 2.8%. And that is a reflection of how much the economy has expanded to the extent of job creation. You know, job creation is a big issue. The good thing about it is that in this 2026 budget, government has made it clear and has indicated the level of jobs that we intend to create. 800,000 for that matter. Now this 800,000, we are looking at about 490,000 from the big push in terms of roads. These are direct jobs to people. Now we are looking at the garment industry, another 20,000. We are looking at another 250,000 from the oil palm value chain. We are looking at also another 700. So all in all, 800,000. But all these you can term them as direct jobs. Come to agriculture, investments you are making, farming centers, introduction of fertilizers, the cocoa sector. All these are indirect. The young people of this country will be able to access machinery to be able to do proper agriculture. And you know, the interesting part is that in all the discussion of inflation, the food component of it remains a very key factor.
Okay.
So if that component reduces as a result of cheap, reduced prices as far as food is concerned, it will have a drawing down effect on inflation. Today, inflation has moved. 2022 levels of 54%. Today, it has dropped to 5.4%. Look, Bank of Ghana, for instance, has an inflation targeting regime. So usually, all the policy rates are geared towards trying to hold inflation so that the economy can withstand some shocks on that perspective. Today, inflation has dropped to 5.4%. In the past, where we had seen the policy rate being used to hold inflation, today the policy rate has even seen a 1,000 point decline from 28%. Today it's around 18%. And you know, the good thing is that when you look at it based on the numbers alone, you might not really get it. The policy rate is a reflection of lending in the market. When it drops, the GRR, which is also like the baseline reference rate, Ghana reference rate for lending to individuals and whatever. Today it has dropped to 15.9%. So in the past where the policy rate was around 30%, if you go and borrow from a commercial bank, they will add their risk to it and it will be like 35%. Today you are starting from 15.9. So if you as an individual who's doing business is going to borrow from let's say a commercial bank or any other institution, they will start from 15.9. Even if you add 4%, you are looking at 19 point. Let's say.
Still doesn't get it.
It still doesn't get to 20%. Yeah. So clearly, you see that all these measures that have been put in place are yielding results. Beyond that, I mean, for me, I take the agricultural bit even more seriously than because.
Why is that?
It has a bigger impact on everybody.
Okay.
The hungry man is an angry man, and therefore,
we all eat.
When food prices begin to show a drop, the purchasing power of your salary begins to grow. You can do things that under normal circumstances probably you couldn't do. I always use the example of the 5 kilogram rice, which was 150 Ghana cedis. Today, it's doing around 60, 70 Ghana. And during the festive season, where we do a lot of rice giving just to show appreciation.
And a lot of cooking and all that.
I mean, it has saved me as an MP. The little money I have, I can be able to at least show some love to my people. I remember there was a debate in Parliament where one of my colleagues indicated that Kinky had gone to 7 cities. People went as far as to the seller of the Kinky to check, and it was still at 5 cities. But they forget that before 2017, Kinky was around 1 cities, and it had grown to 5 cities. I'm sure you can do the math yourself. But I mean, look, the truth of the matter is like things have changed. The government has changed the corner so well.
Yeah. But it seems a lot of the times it's like a lot of people are wondering the fact that the government has a lot of things on their agenda, like the big push, creating jobs and all that, a lot of initiatives they want to embark on, even the 24-hour economy. And some people are wondering where the revenue is going to come from. And yet we've cancelled the e-levy as promised from the President's manifesto and all that, the e-levy and then the COVID-19 levy as well. So it's like that question of where will we now get funding for all these projects we are embarking on?
At some point in Ghana's discussions, we spoke about nuisance taxes.
Okay.
And the government promised the abolition of the COVID tax, which they have, abolition of the e-levy, emissions tax, and all these other taxes have been basically removed. Yes, you have the right to ask where these additional revenues will come from. But, there has always been an issue on our taxes where government was talking about rationalizing our taxes. VAT was a big issue. VAT was around 21.5%. The government today has reduced it to 20%.
Yeah, raised the threshold like 200,000 as well.
Yes, the threshold has moved from 200,000 to 750,000.
750, yeah.
Now, the government has also reduced the effective rate from 21.5 to 20%.
Okay.
What that means is that it is reducing the burden on business people. Now, if the threshold has moved from 200,000 to 750,000, what it means is that until you hit the threshold of 750,000, you don't necessarily have to pay VAT.
Okay.
What it means is that people can do a lot of, especially the small businesses, can do business to a level where they can reinvest whatever proceeds they are making into their business and grow it. And by growing their businesses, they can employ more people.
You can even make profits and whatnot.
More profit. Beyond that, you see, taxation, when people pay taxes, they are happy when they see that the taxes are being used to work for them. I just want to give this example. Especially on the roadside, let me use the roads because that's one big issue where people talk about. For a long while, if I should use ATS as an example, when you drive through La Palme Labadi Hotel, there is a small portion, 2 portions. They have been there forever. It never changed. Abusokai, the same thing. Today, when you drive past there, look, even if in as small as it looks, you can see that something has changed. Traffic has reduced.
Are you referring to the Peshi Bridge area or?
Just in front of the traffic light in front of La Palme.
Okay.
There used to be a small section.
Okay, yeah.
And then when you go to the bridge side, there was also a small.
Yeah.
Today, it's no longer there. But you see, in as small as minute as it looks, the benefit it has to you as a vehicle owner, your travel time is reduced. You travel and have peace of mind to go. It has an impact on you as an individual. Same as Abuzuka. A small portion just between Zongo Junction and ICGC, that traffic light, it's been done. The taxes are being used. The VAT, the reduction. Today, if you do the computation, at this new rate of 20%, means that your tax obligation has reduced. Today, what they are saying is that they are going to give incentives to people who pay tax, VAT especially.
Okay.
So if you pay the VAT, the person who is giving the receipt, yes, it is with you. You can actually submit it. They can do an assessment. And based on what you have paid, you can be given an incentive for it. The good thing is that those who refuse to pay the proper VAT may be shown up.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I pay VAT to you.
Yes.
You are supposed to pay to GRA. I have mine. I can get incentive from the tax I've paid. So when I go and do my tax assessment, I submit my documents. You assess me based on A, B, C, D. You are entitled to this.
Yeah.
You, as the one collecting, if you refuse to pay, you'll be exposed because of my taxes I'm going to file.
Because there's evidence.
There's evidence of it, which was not probably the case in the past. So the next one, e-taxation. There are various entities that provide service in Ghana.
Okay.
But in terms of taxation, because they are not domiciled in Ghana, they pay according to what they think probably might be the best amount of tax to pay. For instance, let's use multi TV, DSTV, sorry.
DSTV, yeah.
DSTV. And also Alibaba and all these foreign
Amazon and
all that. People do business in Ghana on such platforms. Who is assessing them? So now they are going to introduce e-taxation to the extent that all these entities outside of Ghana that provide services in Ghana will pay the right amount of taxes that government can also use.
And we also pay suspicions on these things.
Yes.
As well, yeah.
So you see, that's another area. But I think the biggest impact is on the VAT reforms, which is probably going to bring about 3 to 6 billion cedis into government coffers.
You don't foresee people still avoiding to pay despite the fact that they
no, I mean, yeah, you can try it, but the truth of the matter is that when the implications of your inaction, your non-payment begin to bite, you learn how to pay. And that's one thing I like about this finance minister. You know, he's so forward-looking. He's looking at even how to curb his own expenditure. He's introduced the Independent Value for Money Office.
Okay.
Any project that is going out, you are going to do a pre, post, and even after completion audit. We are going to assess the value of this project, how it's going to benefit Ghana. You are going to look at how that project would change the economic situation.
Are these audits free?
Well, I'm yet to get whether it's free, but I believe that since the benefit of it will outweigh whatever cost it is,
okay,
I won't be surprised if it's free.
So it's cost beneficial to us.
Exactly.
Whatever. Okay.
So you know, so he's putting in place things. Today we have commitment authorization, which we haven't had before. In the past, you see that SOE, state-owned enterprises, were spending outside of their own budgets, and then when it comes to Parliament, questions are asked and nothing happens. Today, he has introduced things that are going to curb these expenditures to the extent that he has a hold on whatever revenues he has and how to deploy them into productive sectors of the economy. And in this case, the big push, the 24-hour economy and the rest. Look, another big project that is coming, the Kumasi Expressway. People talk about it that they are older, why don't you finish it and all. But you see, there's an economic benefit to it. Any road, any economy that will do well, roads is a very important part of it. Now, this road we are talking about, in as much as it's going to have so much economic benefit. One, it's going to reduce your travel time to Kumasi by about 50 kilometers. Mm-hmm. The cost of your travel is going to go down. It's going to expand the economy on those corridors of the road to the extent that people can do businesses around those roads and expand.
So perhaps an economic boom as well for those who are trading on that side.
The beautiful part of it is that it's even going through even areas that are supposedly non-friendly to this government. I remember in Parliament they said it's passing through Ofuasi. I mean, but it's all part of it. This government is a very what do you call it?
But the president remarked on that, the fact that he represents NDC doesn't mean he's an NDC president.
That's the point.
He's a president for all.
Look, yeah. Let me ask you, in terms of the exchange rate which has seen this decline, today, if you want to travel with your family outside, the dollar rate is so low that you can do it. If you want to buy a car, for that matter, you can do it. Because the exchange rate has increased the value of your money you are getting. Yes, maybe your salary has not increased. Labour will tell you that they got 9%. But did you hear there was noise around it? There was no noise. Because the value of the money they are paying people has appreciated to the extent that they can use that money to live a life worthy.
Yeah. But when it comes to like agribusiness and tourism, what would you say were some of like the jobs they provided for people in the past year, in assessing that 1 year, and what do you foresee, not just 2026 but beyond as well, when it comes to agribusiness and tourism?
Well, I mean, like I indicated, I mean, on the face of it, it has seen a very significant growth, almost double, 2.9% to about 6%. Now, the government is made it clear, and knowing that the impact of especially agriculture, on inflation for that matter, which is a very significant economic indicator. Today, 5.5% from 23 levels and even 54 in 2022. At the time, if your salary was I mean 100 cedis, literally you're at 50 cedis.
This part of history, I'm not sure people want to hear that one.
No, you need to remind Ghanaians.
Okay.
Today it's at 5.4%. That's why you hear Abuso kind people trying to reduce their prices. When you go to the market, oil, which used to be around 1,500 cedis, is as low as probably 600 cedis. You know, so it is the impact of the decision to deal with an economic indicator like inflation. And agriculture is key because the food element of it is so huge that if you joke with agriculture, you have problems. Now, government has realized this. What has government done? Government says, I'm going to introduce farming centers across quite a chunk of districts. Now, in doing that, they are going to introduce machinery, not small machineries, harvesters, what do you call it, and machines that basically do agriculture. So, if a young man who is doing like an acre of let's say, in my place, Ekumfi pineapple, today he can do 2 acres. Now, I don't think what it means that the economic value or the profit revenue you make from the 2 acres will increase the value of money you get. And in that case, you can even do more. So just imagine someone who is doing like 50 acres, 100 acres. He can employ more people. The prices of food will reduce. Ekumfi juice, which produces Ekumfi today.
Right from your constituency.
Yes, from my constituency. Yeah. I mean, Ekumfi is a very, very interesting constituency. My regards to everyone in Ekumfi. My paramount chief Nanachin, a very good man. He's helped and has a vision for Ekumfi. And President Mills also comes from there. So Ekumfi is a very unique. And I remain hopeful that with President Mahama, who's worked closely with President Mills, he will look at Ekumfi and help to drive Ekumfi to the next level. Now let's come back to the conversation. These farming centers will transform agriculture. But beyond that, there's one thing that I need to mention. In this budget, the finance minister has said that he's going to tackle roads in the food growing areas. Chief, the transportation cost of food coming into the cities increases the value of food so much that basic things that you have to buy, which shouldn't cost you so much because of transport alone.
So are we speaking to the fact that some of these feeder roads, for instance, are obsolete, like they are not constructed well enough? So
no, they are bad.
They are completely.
Let's not belabor it. The roads are just bad.
They are bad
to the extent that food that naturally has to travel to the centers where people can buy, live, good standard of lives, are not able to. Even if they access it, the price is so high because of the bad roads. Today, exchange rate has dropped, and exchange rate is a function of even the petrol price. So if exchange rate drops, your price is dropped. That's why you are not buying at 15, you are buying at 11 or 12. So you see, with that level of understanding, if you tackle roads within such areas, look, you have changed the narrative, and they are looking at 1,000 kilometers of road. This is on a lighter note. During the previous administration's time, they said they had constructed about 12,000 kilometers. So I want to check the distance for 12,000 kilometers. Of
course you did, yeah.
It was like from here to China. And I was asking myself, and he said, if you can construct a road of that distance, where are those roads? I'm still asking myself where those roads. I remember it became a big issue in Parliament where the Minister of Roads was saying that really never happened. But Ghanaians will be the best judges. They should tell us where those roads are. We are still looking for them. Anyway, let's go back.
So what about the tourism industry, for instance? Do you feel there are some places where we have perhaps untapped potential that we can enhance and perhaps will bring some revenue to us as well?
Yes, tourism at some point in our history was one of the biggest revenue earners. Today, the story has changed because the world has moved away from a lot of these historical sites. In the past, Cape Coast was a big discussion.
I think it still is all.
Yeah, but you see, the traffic has reduced.
Okay.
But I think that it's all about marketing, where we need to market a lot of our tourist sites. I'm happy that the Minister of Tourism is making a very concerted effort to look for new areas which create potential tourist sites for people to come. And I know people in the diaspora love Ghana for that matter. Look, Ghana is at the center of the world. That alone is a statement on its own. Greenwich Meridian passes through Ghana. I mean, if you sell the Ghana story well, and today President Mahama has given Ghana a very, very, unique and loving, and I don't know how to say it, but Ghana's name is on cloud 9. When I listened to his speech at the UN, in fact, I was so proud I didn't know what to say. And beyond that, even in Ghana, the kind of statements he's making, that he's setting the bar so high that anybody who takes over from him, if you do not perform, Ghanaians will know you are a non-performer.
So you don't agree with that session? Perhaps the honeymoon period for him is over. We are still going to enjoy that this year and beyond. But maybe Ghanaians will give him a chance to settle, and then he can start the work. So you don't feel that way?
We spoke of honeymoon, but trust me, if you look at the state of the economy today, was there a honeymoon? You couldn't have had a honeymoon and achieved this. No way. The government was poised to work for Ghana. The government was determined to change the history and the story around Ghana. Today, our currency that we talk about and make it look like it's really an order of the day. Today, in 4 decades, Ghana's currency has never seen an appreciation. Look, I came from the banking sector. I can tell you, every year we're expecting not less than 10% depreciation. Today, the currency has seen 40%. Today, Ghana's economy is the 8th largest in Africa. Today, gold is almost surpassing South Africa, if not by this time. Because gold has always been an issue that we needed to deal with. But the lack of political will and so many other issues prevented us from getting to that point. And look at the visionary and decisive nature with which President Mahama and the Ministry of Finance and Gold Board has happened in this country.
Oh, yeah, which reminds me, just before we came in, some of the people on the panel, some of the ladies on the panel in the newspaper review were wondering about the 240 million loss when it comes to Gold Board. The CEO has come to clarify, but the minority still has issues with it. It's been showing up the economy, for instance, and yet there still seems to be some debate about the work it is doing. What would you say about it?
This whole debate about it, for me, I think is neither here nor there, if you ask me.
Okay.
I mean, there's a design of every policy.
Okay.
And then who is the architect behind the policy, and who also runs the financial or transactional side of things. Gold Board was set up to buy, sell, assay, and do things around gold. Clearly, the Gold Board has demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt that they are capable. If you look at the performance of Gold Board, they have done over 100 tons of gold for 2025 alone. But the good thing is that I don't look at it from whatever loss they are talking about is sitting. But as far as Gold Board is concerned, the CEO has clarified that from where they sit, they had about 960 million revenues. Their expenditure was 120. They were not made to declare profits. No. They talk about it in terms of revenue. Whoever is funding the activities of Gold Board is the Bank of Ghana. And I was formerly a foreign currency trader. In foreign currency, pricing, there are fluctuations. And whoever is the financier of the particular policy is the Bank of Ghana. So therefore, if you introduce a policy and that policy is facing challenges as a result of pricing, you can adjust the pricing to be able to achieve the intended results, which is raising enough reserves for Ghana's reserve position, which has increased to 13.8 billion from 9.8 billion in the previous era. So ask yourself, that 13.8 billion, what is the benefit of it? Look, it gives Ghana a very credible, international image. Because if your reserves are huge, what it means is that if there are issues around your currency, you can easily intervene. That's why I've seen the market and then you've seen where it is. Somebody will tell you it was pumping. No, they are called interventions. That is the word. You intervene in the market to smoothen out the exchange rate so that you and I can benefit. You don't sit aloof and just watch the currency depreciate and expect that Ghanaians will not complain. No. So even in your fuel price, that element of it is part of why today we are buying at 11 cedis. So you see, the reserve is one. Today, all the rating agencies that have changed their narrative on Ghana is as a result of the improvement in the economy, the reserve position, which has also look, Recently, Ghana went to IMF where we defaulted. That's how come we were downgraded to a junk status. Look, in those times, Ghana was borrowing an average of $2 billion a year from the international market. And you know what? They forgot that when you borrow, your public debt or your external debt grows. And it's a reflection of how much interest you are going to be paying on it. So whilst you were borrowing and having kinky parties, right, you forgot that all these things were going to come and bite you. At some point, all the revenues we were making and all these monies we were borrowing ended up paying interest on these loans that we are taking.
Okay.
In recent time, in December, the finance minister paid about 700 million to external
even
creditors.
Before the due date. Is that the one you
Yes.
said? Yes. Okay.
You know, that is indication of good performance. It's an indication of the confidence people will have. Because when your obligations are due, you pay them without thinking. This minister is thinking about enhancing the sinking fund to the extent that we can have enough buffers that if anything should happen in the future, we can tap into those funds and also pay for these things.
So this debt restructuring, how has it relieved alleviated pressure perhaps for like importers, exporters, and the agribusiness sector as well?
Sorry, come back again.
This debt restructuring, paying the debts beforehand, this interest that you're using to pay off our loans, how has it alleviated pressure on like importers, exporters, and the agribusiness?
Okay, let me give one classic example. Yes. Look, I spoke about the GRR, which is the Ghana reference rate, which is like the benchmark rate for assessing credit by individuals.
Yeah.
Today it's at 15.9. Now, if you add a risk rate, you are less than 20%. Let's say even it's 4%.
Okay.
You understand? So, as a business person, if you go to the bank to borrow and your interest cost is lower, you can do business and make more money, pay your interest, and you'll be okay. So that alone means that it can cause an expansion in the economy. The policy rate is responding. Inflation is dropping. So that alone is a very huge indicator of how much expansion that the Bank of Ghana is trying to project in the country. But there's one point that I really need to make.
Okay.
That if you look at the collaboration between the Ministry of Finance and Bank of Ghana, it is unprecedented.
Really?
Yes. Look, in the past, where the Finance Ministry was happy to borrow, the Bank of Ghana was using the policy rate as a basis to control inflation. Because when there's so much money in the system, inflation goes high, 54%. They use the policy rate to go and try and check it. That is why you saw the policy rate go to around 30%, only to help to bring it down. Today, the reverse is true. Inflation has dropped so much that interest rates are rather trying to go near where inflation is. So you can see that the fiscal discipline that this finance minister has introduced, coupled with this independent value for money office, coupled with this commitment authorization systems he has put in place, and a total, hand on government expenditure, is really helping the economy.
Including the lean government and all that.
Yes. Yeah. Now, go to Bank of Ghana. In fact, Bank of Ghana is doing so well. No, they are responding to things that people with the ordinary person may not see. Today, the minister made it clear in the budget. I'll come to Bank of Ghana again. I mean, let me finish Bank of Ghana. Bank of Ghana, monetary policy, they've done so well. Why do I say so? Interest rates, look at where it is now. From highs of 28%, today it's at 12% on the T-bill. That is a reflection of how much value that has been saved to the borrowing government, a government that is borrowing. Because obviously, we borrow for short-term financing. So definitely that's why we do T-bills.
Yeah.
Yes, so that the government saved 8.8 billion cedis, even at 12%. You understand? The Bank of Ghana has introduced measures trying to reduce the non-performing loans in the banking sector. Today, they realize that people borrow, they don't pay. So today, they have introduced harsh measures. Anybody who is looking at me, you want to borrow from a bank and don't want to pay, I suggest you change your mind. Because the way they will publish your name, and that you cannot borrow from anywhere, and the reference bureaus will capture your name, it is better you don't.
Your credit rating, I suppose, we just...
you don't even borrow at all. Yeah. Sit in your house and enjoy your kinky like that. Beyond that, There's something called net open position, which also gives an indication of how banks utilize their FX and all that.
Okay.
The Bank of Ghana has introduced something which says that you cannot, in the past, people used to take advantage of it, where they hold dollars in an appreciating currency,
and they can
benefit from it.
Yeah.
Today you can't do that. It's either you keep a zero or you go -10.
Okay.
Do you understand? And they have restricted how much holdings you can have on even other currencies. This is Bank of Ghana we want. This Bank of Ghana is working so well. Look, even for the banking sector, beyond all of that, all the monetary, good work that the governor is doing, this Minister of Finance has also realized that, look, in some time past, banks were collapsed. Banks that could have been resuscitated with 9 billion were closed down with around 20 billion cedis. He said, no, we are not interested in doing that. We are going to ensure that we refinance banks that will do well. Today in the budget, he's given about some money, huge, about 1 billion cedis to ADB, almost 1 billion cedis to CBG, and NIB, which was destined for complete takeover. Today, he gave NIB about 1.9 billion cedis. As we speak, NIB is doing so well. The staff of NIB are happy. At this point, let me say Happy New Year to Dolly Ra, who is the CEO of NIB.
Okay.
Look, they are going to close the year with 250 million cedis in revenues.
This year.
This year.
Okay.
No, 2025.
2025.
This is a reflection of the revenues that government will make from taxation.
But
so even though they put money there, that money will be paid off because the bank is doing well. And so do all the other banks like ADB and CBG be doing. So you see, it's not about borrowing. You can borrow. Borrowing is the easiest thing. You and I, you can borrow. But when you borrow, you must invest into productive sectors. Today, the government is talking about big push. Look at the jobs it's creating, 800,000. This is a thinking government. Look at the road sector. The speed, high-speed road to Kumasi.
But you see, some people, there are still arguments of the fact that we still, despite all these achievements the government is stroking and everything, there are still these resurgent power cuts, what we like to call the doomsday and all that, and there are all these corruption-related issues and all. So what lessons perhaps have we learned from the previous first year, and what can we apply moving forward so that these things don't become an issue?
Well, here I want to indicate that I saw some people talk about adjustments in utility tariffs. But the truth of the matter is that when we were going to IMF, they were part of the conditionalities, but they won't tell you. But they have signed it, and these are binding obligations on Ghana. And as difficult as it is, the government realized that no, power is a very big issue that is harming a lot of business, especially for the hospitality industry. If you go to a hotel, the cost of their energy makes the pricing even so high. And because of that, they need to take a second look at how to reduce our energy cost to the extent that the Ghanaian will benefit. That is why he's talking about setting up a new refinery.
Okay.
You know, we fly a lot of gas. And gas, using gas to generate energy as a lower cost. They are looking at creating another energy source using this gas. And when that comes in, it's going to reduce our cost. And the benefit will reflect. Even though the tariff has gone up, by the time that is done, the cost will start coming down.
Does this include solar energy?
Solar is part of it, definitely. I mean, green transitions, the energy ministry is working on that. And that should also give us a lot of
reduce cost.
Reduce cost.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so I always say that this is a thinking government. They are thinking into the future. They are looking at the effect of their action today in the future and how it will benefit the Ghanaian. Look, I was telling my friend that Ghanaians have moved on. Now people don't discuss elections, politics, and so much because everything is working so well that what they have to concern themselves with is how to live a life that is good for them.
So what do you have to say to people who feel like the doomsday hasn't left us? Perhaps you are celebrating Christmas and then New Year.
You know, well, I don't know where you live, but from where I live, and I live in somewhere in the Asuman area, and from at least I monitor the system. I mean, light off is not really that rampant like in 2025. No, look, even with that, they are independent power producers. Ghana was owing about 1.4 billion Ghana cedis
When this minister came, he sat down with them. And the reason why we're having this power outages at some point was as a result of the non-payment of monies to these IPPs. This minister has sat down, had a discussion with them, and has managed to even save Ghana $250 million from these discussions. He has not defaulted in the payment to these IPPs. So you don't have a basis to turn off the switch. Now the problem we are having to deal with is the transmission of this power. So we have to deal with issues around transmission lines, and other machinery that is used for the transmission of the power. And that's why sometimes you have, some relatively short glitches in your power supply.
Okay, so
but it's not a reflection of the generation. No, that's not it.
So there may come a time we maybe not experience that.
Exactly. But it's normal. I mean, look, I'll get to your point. Look, even in your own house, a fuse can go off. You understand? In the same way, in the energy, producing institutions, these things will happen.
Yeah. So it's been 1 year. We've been assessing the outlook of the presidency so far and the government. Looking at 2026 and perhaps beyond, what's your outlook looking like, and your final message to Ghanaians watching us on the momentum of this reset?
I think 2026 will be a defining moment for Ghana. Because why do I say so? The government has been able to set the tone for a takeoff in the reset agenda.
Okay.
Today the economy is doing well. Ghanaians to some extent are happy. Today all the sectors of the economy are responding. Our indicators are positive. Rating agencies are saying positive things about Ghana. Today our gold is benefiting Ghana. So year one, you can say that everything is going well. Going into 2026, you see, the effect of these actions, I say we are looking to benefit Ghana. Social protection, let me come there. Very important, because that is where the ordinary Ghanaian begin to feel it. We talk about school feeding. It has seen a 33% increase. In the past, it was 1 cedi. They moved it to 2 cedis. Today, those who do school feeding are receiving prompt payments. Today, our secondary schools, the children are happy. They are eating well. They are learning well. And I know eventually to translate. Any child.
Into good results.
Yes, yes. I know they need to sit down and realize that their future is at stake.
Okay.
Today, NHI has been uncapped. It has released money that can be used for building hospitals, buying equipment, taking care of the Mahama cares for chronic diseases that if you go to Kwalibu today, a lot of people are suffering from it. Mahama truly cares. Today, we are talking about the LEAP program, Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty. It is going to see an upward adjustment of 400,000 people. Maybe your grandmother in the village who is not benefiting from anything can be put on LEAP. It will be done on non-partisan basis. This is a government that cares about its people. Agriculture, fertilizer is coming. Equipments are coming. The Women's Bank is coming on stream. Today, the minister has made 400 million cedis available for the setting up of the Women's Bank. You know what they will do? It's if you educate a woman, you educate
a nation.
A nation.
Yeah.
If you give a woman access to credit, just imagine what will happen to this country. They will have access to credit. Not only the Women's Bank, the Development Bank of Ghana, Exim Bank, and other banks, they will make access to credit lower. Now the Bank of Ghana has set the tone, GRR 15.9. What do you think these discounting institutions that want to give credit Adua will do?
So the outlook looks promising.
Very promising.
It's like we are still going to continue.
The young people of this country will get jobs. 800,000 is their direct job. Indirect jobs, agriculture, fishing. The fishing in the Afarifu. Today, premix is in abundance. Today, we are talking about creating, fishing harbors. I mean, we are doing things that the Ghanaian will benefit from. And what inspires me, even the roads. You see, I watched one news item and the deputy minister was saying that Ghana will be a construction site for roads because we know the value of roads. Look, President Mahama, sometimes people are even sad that constitutional barriers may not even allow him to go for a third term.
Let's not touch on that.
I'm being real with you because his performance, you see, his performance has has emboldened Ghanaians to speak because they have tasted the worst in this country.
Yeah, because our time is up, I wanted you to say a few words to your members of your constituency.
Much.
Yeah, before
I want to celebrate the Speaker of Parliament.
Okay.
He's been a very strong pillar in Parliament. He's kept the House working well and has been able to manage sentiments on both sides that today Parliament is a very unique and different story at its way. Mr. Speaker, today I celebrate you. God bless you for the good work you are doing. Again, I want to talk about the Chief Justice. Coming into office, I sit back and realize that things are changing. Because if the judiciary is working in the interest of Ghana, where cases are not being delayed excessively, where people are getting equity in court, people are happy. Where people are given, opportunity to defend themselves. I want to wish him well. I want him to do well because these are arms of government that if they work well, we as Ghanaians benefit. The President of the Republic. Mr. President, Yamisha, you are doing too well. You are doing excessively well. You are not resting. Now I went to the Flagstaff. I don't go there. I've been there like twice. And I was standing at the Vice President, Professor Nana's area. And I realized the President was going around thanking the staff of the Jubilee House.
Yes.
And I'm sure he came here as well.
Yeah, he came here. Another place. Even the
this
police
is
as
leadership.
Well. Yeah.
This is leadership. The humility he has displayed and the hard work he's done. In fact, this man is God sent. But you see, let me just say,
but like your constituency, I want
experience is the best teacher.
Speak to the people of Ekumfi before we go.
Today, I want to thank Ekumfi greatly for the opportunity they gave me. I've told them that I'm here to serve them. I'm not here because of my own interest. I see the reset agenda working. I am here and I have connected myself to the reset agenda to ensure that every benefit that President Mahama and his team and his government have destined for this country, I make sure we get our portion.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank the chiefs, the queen mothers, the fishermen, the fisher folk, the queen mothers, and all my stakeholders in Ekumfi. I want them to support me. They should pray for me. They should join me in this fight. We must restore Ekumfi. In there, me mobi biara fisher pa. Yamisha mo. Na me there Ekumfi be ye. Na woso ebedi ho debi. Yamisha be damase.
Amen. Thank you so much, Honorable Othniel Kwenu, who is a member of Parliament for the Ekumfi Constituency and a member of Parliament's Trade, Industry, Agribusiness and Tourism